For we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means for expanding its sphere of influence, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. On infiltration instead of invasion, on subversion instead of elections.
If I were the devil, I'd take from those who have and give to those who wanted until I had killed the incentive of the ambitious.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups who are terrorizing the innocent, destroying jobs, hurting businesses, and burning down buildings. They are coming after me because I am fighting for you. That's what's happening.
Greetings, fellow thought criminals, and thank you for joining the Insurrection. I'm Michael Lauber. This is Derrick Evans, and nature is still healing. The balance of power is shifting back to where it needs to be, and we've got a great show in store for you today.
Yes, we do, Mike. As always, guys, like, share, subscribe, all those good things. Hop in the comments if you're watching live. We'll try to give you guys a shout out, answer questions. It only took Trump one day to save us from global warming. It's snowing in Florida and snowing in the Gulf of America. So it's amazing what's going on there. Yeah, but we got an awesome guest for you guys. You guys have probably saw his video going viral. It's Senator Colton Moore from the state of Georgia. Welcome to the show, man.
No, I appreciate you gentlemen having me. I love your show. I love what you guys do, and don't ever stop. Just keep up the good work.
Oh, yeah. Well, we plan on it. If you can stand there and fight and stand up to these undocumented Democrats at the state level, then we can stay here and keep sounding the alarm. Before we get into the serious stuff, though, I want to start off with something a little funny. We can always use some humor. So shout out to Inez Annie Cyrus, again, regular great friend of the show. She sent this to me this morning, and this is absolutely hysterical.
Let's see. Spoon, lighter, baggie, oh, I bet this is from Bring Your Kid to Work Day. My name's Nick Peterson, and I'm the White House's Director of Transfer of Power. It's a fancy title for someone who cleans out the president's desk. It's usually a boring job, tossing notepads, old calendars, things a normal commander-in-chief would use at his desk. Joe Biden's desk, however, was like cleaning out the prop closet for the Naked Gun. Running a country for dummies. Mint condition. More of that at the beach and less James Patterson, and I wouldn't be cleaning out your desk. The worst part? I guess the worst part was scrubbing dried ice cream out of the carpet underneath. I'm not complaining, though. I had to clean up after Bill Clinton's turn, so. There's a painting underneath here, signed by Hunter and purchased by his dad at an inflated rate, no doubt. Quite the artist, the con type, but an artist nonetheless. Between you and me, I thought I was going to be doing this a lot sooner. I figured Kamala was going to pull the old security cameras are down trick and serve him up a scoop of death by chocolate. Oh, look. America's checkbook is empty. Fun fact, the president's chair is usually cleaned up and then moved to a museum or showroom of sorts. Biden's chair was deemed a health hazard, simply for the fact that it had seen more blowouts than an episode of Jersey Shore. Looks like he recently carved "For a Good Time, Call Harris." Must have been right after he got Tanya Harding. When Joe Biden started in politics, Elvis Presley was still alive. We had just landed on the moon a few years prior. If he had gotten a second term, they were going to rename this place the Oval Hospice. I think that's everything, just a letter opener. Industry secret. When discarding dangerous objects, it's best to dispose of them properly and not just leave them for the Taliban.
That was
absolutely hysterical. Yes.
Very clever.
But yeah, let's get into this here because we do have a lot to discuss as always. Let me get this pulled up so I can actually read things. Outrageous pro-Trump Georgia state senator who previously tried to impeach Fani Willis assaulted and arrested while trying to enter Georgia House chambers. And I can cue up the video for this here real quick. So what exactly happened, Senator Moore?
Well, the Georgia General Assembly passed a joint resolution, H.R. 4, to host a joint session to hear the state of the governor. You know, most general assemblies across the United States, the U.S. Congress, you know, the president or the governor gives a state of the state, so the legislature kind of gets an idea of where the state is before they go in and they start legislating, before they start taxing, before they start spending your money. That's
Sure.
what this was. This was a state of the state, which includes the House and the Senate. Therefore, I have a legal and a constitutional obligation to be in attendance at that meeting. The Speaker of the House, though, this guy named John Burns, who needs to resign immediately, basically decided my presence was a violation of his decorum. But the thing is, he doesn't even have decorum rules because it's a joint session. It's not a House session. He has no constitutional authority to do that. So he sends out his attorney, a staffer, to assault me in front of 18 state troopers. And ultimately, I'm arrested for willful obstruction of law enforcement, which is a misdemeanor, which the Georgia Constitution clearly states that you cannot arrest a member of the General Assembly on a misdemeanor. There's also a law in the state of Georgia that says you cannot impede a procession of the General Assembly. So there were constitutional violations left and right. I was in a completely lawless situation. It's like, what type of world do we live in? Excuse me. What type of world do we live in when a senator is getting assaulted in front of these officers and then they're arrested? It's a banana republic. We're not a peach state anymore. We're a banana republic.
Absolutely. And I want to give some quick context here. I mean, a lot of states have that same law where you can't arrest a member of the legislature on misdemeanor charges. The reason being, let's say that there's a very important vote coming up and this person was going to be the swing vote and some lobbyists paid off, you know, what if it's for the police union or something, you know, whatever. And the police officers would arrested this person, hold them until after the vote was passed. That would really change the outcome of things. So most states have that exact law in there for that very reason. And can't believe that, as you said, watching that and knowing how all this works, that you of all people were the one that was arrested here. It's unbelievable, man. You're a patriot.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, week one, I thought it was going to be pretty peaceful and ended up getting a mugshot in the same place that Donald Trump got a mugshot in at you know, Fani Willis's famous or infamous Fulton County Jail. I think what this really was a conspiracy. They know I'm a pretty hot-headed fella. They wanted me to fight back. They wanted me to get assault charges from Fani Willis because remember, John Burns, the speaker, had articles of impeachment against Fani Willis for almost an entire year. Okay, so he was always feeling the pressure of me pushing to go after Fani Willis, but he was a never Trumper. And this was a great opportunity for him to try to throw me to the wolves, but just made himself out to be a complete and total dumb tyrant.
Yeah. Well, I've got the video of what happened queued up. So let me run this and then we're going to dive even deeper into it.
Too far. It has gone too far. I have an obligation to be in that room. I represent 200,000 people in Northwest Georgia who duly elected me to be here today.
And I apologize. I think the very beginning of that might have been cut off, but I'll blame my software on that. But again, I think this was to send a message to you, since you've been adamant fighting the corruption in Georgia, whether we're talking the elections, Fani Willis, and everything else that's gone down there. Well, America's had their eyes on the Peach State because we expect more out of them. And I don't know what happened to your governor there, but something something major shifted with him, just before the 2020 election. Now, for you, what is the next step? Because obviously you've got to fight these charges, and then are there going to be any ramifications for the speaker that tried to obstruct you from coming in?
Yeah, I mean, first things first, I have to get these criminal charges removed. I mean, they wanted me to appear in Superior Court the very next day. And I sent my chief of staff to the court, and I said, you can find me in the Senate chamber, because that's where I have a constitutional obligation to be, representing my constituents. I mean, I don't think nobody wants to lay hands on it at the court. Everybody's kind of like, whoa, this is so out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I can't really begin the civil process of suing them until these criminal charges are dropped. But I want to see some criminal action brought against the speaker's attorney for assaulting me. My office is like, well, we're going to go get a police report. And I was like, what type of police report is this going to look like? There's 18 law enforcement officers there who sit there and watched it. I reminded those state troopers while we were standing there, they swore an oath to the Constitution too.
Yes.
And they have a ministerial duty to offer protection to the Republic, but instead they were destroying it that day. So, this is kind of where we are right now. The state of Georgia is mad. They're upset. People from all across the state, regardless of whether you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. I mean, it was kind of crazy. A lot of the Democrats in the Senate were the first people to come up to me and offer their hand of support. Before even Republicans, because I think what it inherently says is, regardless of what your opinion politically is, we recognize the Constitution is sacred, and it provides us the ability to speak freely and articulate arguments. But because before we had a constitutional republic, gentlemen, we were having to engage with pistolas and swords. All right.
Yes.
And this Constitution allowed us to have majority rule. These people are asking for the resignation of Speaker John Burns, rightfully so. I just got word probably about 30 minutes ago from some different folks who were in a closed-door meeting with the Speaker earlier, and he is basically telling members of the House of Representatives, Republicans, that they need to tell their local GOPs that they don't need to send a resolution calling for the Speaker's resignation anymore, because the Speaker has reversed his opinion, and he is now going to allow me onto the House floor in future joint sessions. So there's no need in the GOP having to put out a statement anymore. So they're obviously feeling the pressure, and this is the kind of dumbness that they're giving to their state reps to try to defend themselves when local Republican parties all across the state are calling for the Speaker's resignation.
Wow. Well, first of all, I got to clear some chats really quick. We got Marleeb in the Rumble chat. We got Sean and All About Me over here in the Getter chat. We've got Chris, Andres in the Ex-American News chat. And then we've got Fed Up, Christy, Caroline, Thaddeus, Steven, Foxtradamus, Susan. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in. I'm sorry if I missed anybody. I'm sure that I did. Appreciate you guys. This whole thing is just absolutely crazy. So first of all, he should be forced to resign. Honestly, he shouldn't even be intellectual anymore, but he should definitely lose his position as Speaker of the House. I mean, once you abuse that power once, he's going to be hungry to do it again, and he needs to be. Not only that, look what they've done to with the weaponization of government across this country. They've said we got to give these harsh punishments as a deterrence to make sure this never happens again. Well, on that same note, he needs to be removed as Speaker to ensure that this never, ever happens again. And, man, just keep fighting. So proud to know you, and proud to know that there's at least one patriot down there. Clear something up, though. There's some people in the chat, maybe they're not from Georgia, who are talking about, the Democrats in Georgia. The Republicans are in control in Georgia, correct? I mean, these are rhinos who are doing this to you.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they call me the Rhino Wrangler. Because we're supposedly a Republican-controlled state, but it seems like I'm the only one who's really pushing back against these never-Trumpers. We're not a part of the same party. I'm calling for the Georgia GOP right now to renounce the party affiliation of John Burns. I mean, what does that do for our brand as Republicans? How do we go out and we tell folks to vote Republican and support freedom when they're pointing back and they're like, well, this Republican over here is having people arrested for calling out corruption. I mean, he and I are not a part of the same party. And let's not forget, John Burns, the speaker, this past year, he had a man dressed up as a woman giving the invocation of the General Assembly. People in Northwest Georgia, we don't consider that Republican.
No, and again, like, I totally understand why these Democrats came to your aid afterwards, before the Republicans. I mean, I think that side of it's sad, but they're probably watching the situation and thinking, next time we're pushing something that's controversial, or even pushing back against corruption, even if it's legitimate, what's to stop the speaker from preventing them to enter a joint session, or to otherwise use this political maneuvering to block their efforts. And that's not what it's about. I mean, even if it's insane moonbat nonsense, both sides still have a right to speak, a right to address the chamber, and a right to address the people. At the end of the day, they had a majority of their constituents put them there to represent that district, so they do have a right to be there, even if we disagree with them. If this speaker doesn't seem to understand that, he needs to go. Especially, again, going after you, who's you're not doing anything wrong. You're simply trying to hold them accountable, hold their feet to the fire, and demanding justice. And again, leading the charge for against a clearly corrupt and biased prosecutor, Fani Willis, down there, who it isn't just Trump she's going after. It's Pastor Lee. It's numerous other people that they're on these ridiculous made-up RICO charges. And somebody needs to pay the price for this. And she needs to go. She needs to suffer the ramifications. There need to be real investigations to exactly what happened there. And if they don't want to get into that, well, then I guess they're not aligned with the people, and it's time for them to go.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself. I mean, I'm so excited about AG Pam Bodie coming down to Georgia,
yes,
and sniffing out some corruption. All right. You got Leo Terrell coming down, civil rights with the DOJ. Georgia, we are ripe for a cleaning. Okay. It just stinks to high heaven when you come down to the Georgia Capitol.
And Colton, if you can, man, like, briefly, I think that's important context for this whole situation you're dealing with right now, for people to understand, like, this, why he, one of the reasons that he said you were not allowed to go in there. Like, there's a backstory here, and I picked up your story whenever you were the only person down there who was defending President Trump against Fani Willis, and these Republicans were mad at you for doing that. They were coming against you for doing that. You were holding the line as the one, or at least the most outspoken one, doing that. So kind of, if you can, give a little bit of a backstory as to, this has been an ongoing issue, and it's not just you. These people are also, they're never Trumpers. It's not like, that they're MAGA and just whatever reason they're mad at you. I mean, these are never Trumpers. They right. do not align with us ideologically. And at the end of the day, you have not bent the knee to them and kissed the ring of the speaker or whatever. And that is why they're really upset at the end of the day. So kind of get some backstory there.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, you start calling out corruption, and what the speaker, what his words are, is the reason why I'm a threat to his decorum is because I called the previous speaker the most corrupt elected official in Georgia's modern history, when we were attempting to name a building after him and perpetually memorialize this former speaker who basically crafted legislation. He was an attorney, and it gave himself legislative leave in court cases, more than 1,000 case delays. Basically, the worst child molesters would come to him, hire him as their attorney, and then their case would never go to trial. All right. So we learned about this when a 14-year-old rape victim who at 19 years old had become terminally ill, and her case had never went to trial. And then a former FBI agent comes down and starts, sniffing into all of this and finds more than 1,000 case delays where he was making hundreds of thousands of dollars off a law that he created to prevent justice from some of the worst people that are in our society. And so we're going to name a building after this guy and perpetually memorialize him? Absolutely not. I've got every constitutional right as a senator of this state to go up there and articulate an argument as to why we shouldn't name this building after him. The speaker says that's what's upset him. But, I mean, that's just one of many things. You call out the corruption. He's protected Fani Willis through all of this. He had the ability to investigate and impeach Fani Willis wouldn't do it, refused to. Remember when I first went after calling for the special session to go into Fonnie Willis? The very first critic I had was this guy, Speaker John Burns, the guy who had me arrested.
Yeah, and why am I not surprised they want to memorialize somebody that protected pedophiles? That's just par for the course. But I wonder too if some of this doesn't go back to you've been one of the few people in Georgia that's really stood strong with voter GA and gone after the corruption with the elections down there, gone after Rathesberger, the governor, everyone else that tried to prevent the will of the people down there, and they know it. They know their days are numbered. I wonder how much that plays into all this, that you've again consistently been a thorn in their side, but a strong advocate for the voice of the people and for justice and for free and fair elections. And again, you're obviously gaining ground, gaining traction. So I wonder how much that played a role in this, that they just want to silence you, and then they want to be able to turn to the people in the media and like, oh, this guy's just a hothead. Remember when he got arrested for assault, as they hoped for, and try to use that to dismiss your efforts in any future endeavors targeting the corruption within the state of Georgia or just these political improprieties.
No, you're absolutely right. The more you start shedding a light on this, the more the cockroaches start running. And truly, I think this might have been just a last ditch effort to try to silence me or try to box me into being some hothead that assaulted law enforcement or something like that, which, we didn't give them any room in that regard. It took the Spirit of the Lord to calm me in a way, to recognize that this wasn't about me getting pushed to the ground. This was about me representing all the voices of Georgia that I've been representing for the last 2 years and uncovering this corruption. I had to stand there and take that for them, to make a point that these were just dumb tyrants, who were just trying to set this up. And in reality, if they were trying to silence me, all they've done is they've given me a microphone that they've come out with their head on a silver platter. The publicity that they've given me is I never asked for it. But if I can have the publicity to call out these tyrants, I'll certainly take it.
No, man, you've held the line. I think there's so many people across the country who have been watching what you're doing down there. I think you got a lot of supporters even outside of Georgia, obviously outside of your own district there in the state of Georgia. You have the support of these people, and that's exactly what they were trying to do. They were trying to get you to do something to where then they could use that against you and get you out of there, because they know at the end of the day they can't control you. That's what a lot of people don't realize. These speakers and Senate presidents, blah blah blah, the leadership, if you will, in these positions. If you refuse to bow down to them and push their agenda, then it doesn't matter anything else. They don't like you. They're going to try to get rid of you in one way or another. You could vote with them on everything, and then there's that one thing, and you're going to hold the line on the Constitution. And if you refuse to do that, then they're going to come after you. And so you're definitely being targeted right now.
Yeah, I would tell any new legislator, you get into the General Assembly, you might as well just forget any type of compromise or any type of deal. Just do what you were elected to do from day one. It's so disheartening. It's so pathetic when you see these representatives who are like, I just voted like the speaker told me to vote for the first 3 months. And that one time I just vehemently disagreed. Now I've lost all my committee chairmanships or whatever, I was supposed to be promised. It's so pathetic. Your common you see in politicians, they get elected and they hide under their desk immediately. And they're under their desk and they're like, if we pop out, we're probably going to say or do something that could prevent us from getting elected again. And they just hide there under the desk. They're so afraid to speak. So when you come out swinging, like we've been swinging, they just put him in handcuffs.
That's exactly, that's the truth right there. As soon as they get elected, their main concern is, how do I get reelected? They every vote they take, everything that they say, every stance that they take or don't take is all with that mindset of how is this going to help me get reelected or not? I would much rather go and serve one term of raising hell, standing for what I believe in, and go back to the House than to sit there for 30 years and never able to stand up for what you believe in or the Constitution. At that point, you could be more effective in one term of actually doing what you're supposed to do than 30 years of just falling in line and doing whatever leadership asks you to do.
Yeah. And we got to go to break here real quick. But again, you touched on something else here that's really important too. And that is anybody that does get out of line with the uniparty narrative, they start stripping committee appointments and other things that they, again, they're not afraid to use the power they have against you. But the minute somebody stands up to them and points out the hypocrisy or anything else that's going on, these improprieties, they immediately recoil. They act like this is an outrage. How could you possibly go after them? Blah, blah, blah. But again, that's the modus operandi for a lot of these swamp monsters, whether they're in DC or whether they're in Georgia. Guys, we got to take a quick break here from our sponsors. We'll be right back with more. Oh, maybe. Here we go.
Play your trump card and support Make America Great Again with the Donor Deck. Get your hands on 52 exquisite playing cards, each with powerful quotes from scripture and stunning artwork. Plus, showcase your MAGA pride with a beautiful display case and a reversible challenge coin. By purchasing the Donor Deck, you become an official donor, contributing to our cause and helping President Trump reclaim the White House. Get your Donor Deck today and play your part in making America great again.
Go to the Patriot.tv store and get your Donor Deck now.
Attention business owners and entrepreneurs, Patriot TV is launching a brand new TV series showcasing American-made products, and your business could be featured. Whether you sell your products online on Etsy or Shopify and dream of reaching millions of viewers on smart TVs like Samsung, Sony, TCL, and LG, or apps like Roku, Android, and Apple TV, this is your chance. We're searching for US-based businesses offering all types of products and services proudly made in the USA. If you've ever wanted to showcase your products on TV like QVC or the Home Shopping Network, now's your opportunity. Support our American economy, grow your business, and be seen by loyal Patriot viewers across the country. Know someone with a business or have a business yourself? Don't miss out. Contact us at supportingpatriots.com today. Be a guest on this new exciting TV series. Let's put your American-made products in the spotlight.
What do a neurosurgeon, a country artist, and a television and radio host have in common? They all saw the writing on the wall. Big banks sharing your financial information with big government. Join them as owners in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank that protects your privacy, security, and liberty. Invest today at own.oldglorybank.com.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the programs here on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. Stop banking with people that hate you. Go to patriot.tv. You can click on the Insurrection, scroll down, select Old Glory Bank, and open an account today. Again, Derrick can tell you all about being deplatformed and debanked. And, this is, again, it's going to be an ongoing threat, and we need to send a message. We need to start supporting Patriots, support people here at home that are building us up, that agree with our agenda, our morals, our values, and want to see a better America. Let's actually jump into some of these stories, because I want to talk about some of the winning we've been doing for the last several days. And we had another big victory. All federal DEI offices to be closed Wednesday by end of day.
Shut it down.
Exactly. Workers placed on leave. And this isn't all. They've also ended affirmative action policies for all federal employees, federal contractors, and federally funded universities. Again, this sends a message. This sends the moonbats right back into their cry closets, and it is just glorious. Al Sharpton's already out there running his mouth, and that's the kind of victory I want to see.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's if we're going to make America great, we have to bring in the greatest. It doesn't matter what your race, your nationality is. None of that matters. It matters whether you're great or not. And I'm so glad Trump and this administration understands that. Couldn't be more happy.
Yeah, and a lot of this is going to be awesome too, because we're wanting to shrink government, and so a lot of this is weeding these people out on their own. So when they do that, and they have to be on paid leave, that's the way the contract stuff works. But they're going to be shutting those offices down. That's part of it. But also is making these people actually show up to work in person. And a lot of these people are just going to quit. They're never going to show up. So I believe a lot of these initial steps are going to be to just kind of let people, just like we encourage people to self-deport. and then the ones that stayed, we went in and deported them. I think right now we're kind of laying down the culture that's going to get a lot of these people just to quit and leave on their own, and then we can deal with the rest of them afterwards. And this is part of that cultural change in terms of ending the DEI policies and, all the woke stuff within our government positions.
Yeah. And I've seen a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth related to the federal employees being forced to return to their offices. They're saying oh, they can't all go back. Some of them are complaining about lack of office space. But they worked somewhere before COVID. They had to report every day. Now it's time to go back. It's time to put your big boy pants back on and go to work like everyone else does. And why is that? This isn't just to be mean because these employees like working at home. We've seen a massive drop in efficiency from a lot of these employees. It's taking more people to get less work done in a lot of these offices. And this was, unfortunately, this was a huge expansion under the Biden regime where we hired a lot of these people. Well, not a lot, he added to the federal roles and, how many people are on the teeth of the federal government. And it's time to roll that back and bringing them in. I mean, these people need to be put under a microscope. And this is what will give them the ability to do that. We've got to eliminate anybody that's there blocking the rollout of Trump's agenda, that is using their position as a public servant to instead serve their own personal political agenda. So that needs to end. And this is one of the steps, one of the tools that's going to make it possible for us to do that.
Colton, really quick, man, I got some audience chatter here. So I'm taking multiple different comments here to kind of get this question for you. Can you touch base on how these lobbyists put pressure on elected officials to sometimes do things that they don't even agree with or don't want to do, or they'll hold their nose and just let it go and not say anything, on whether it's DEI or any of these other policies, the influence that these lobbyists have over our politicians?
Yeah, I mean, short answer is it's very mafioso. It's very extortion driven. You might have a new state rep who gets elected and, their conscience, their principle says, hey, we probably shouldn't vote this way. But then a lobbyist, casually walks by and lets them know that, they would hate to have to send out a text message to all their voters in their district, demonizing their state rep for not getting on board with the right approach, even though it's the wrong approach. It's just common extortion that you see like that. Ultimately, to be successful, you have to be steadfast all the way through, recognizing that the red light is always on down at the Capitol. Somebody's always trying to record you. As long as you're in clear conscience and you go about your business the same way you would talk at your family dinner table or the same way you would talk on the news, you have absolutely nothing to worry about. And lobbyists recognize that quite quickly. And, I don't get invited to any lobbyist dinners anymore. They don't contribute to my campaign very rarely. So, you just have to kind of weed them out and let them know who you are to begin with.
Would it be fair to say that it's blackmail, what they kind of do, or extortion and blackmail? Would that be pretty fair to say that?
100%. And I've heard this from numerous elected officials. It's a lot of times it's easier to deal with the actual mafia than it is to deal with these corrupt rhinos down at the Capitol, because at least when Tony tells you something, you can trust Tony. You can't trust these guys at the Capitol.
Yeah, exactly. The mob has their objective, and they're at least going to be clear about it because they want to make sure you understand. But that's not the same with these lobbyists or these swamp monsters. They want to own you. They want to bend you to their will on a whim anytime they believe it's necessary. We're really seeing the power of the lobbyists right now, too, that unfortunately they've got their hooks into so many Republicans, too. We talked about the other day how especially the big pharma lobby and some of the farm lobbies are really pushing back against RFK Jr. Apparently, they don't want to make America healthy again. And it really is sick and disgusting. Because again, their alignment is against what is best for America and the American people, but because they contribute so much to these people's campaigns, that facilitates the corruption. Well, they will step outside of their oath of office, their moral obligation to America, and instead they will do what is out of our best interest, because that's what keeps them in office and that's what keeps them financed. It's really sick.
Right. And to go after those big entities like big pharma and even big agriculture, you have to have someone who's absolutely courageous, unnaturally courageous. And hopefully RFK shows that to be the case. I mean, his family's seen a lot, right? I mean, they've brushed up with the big and the bad throughout the generations. So, I trust that RFK can channel that unnatural courage and fight back against these people, because ultimately it's generational what's going to result, right? If he can bring America to a healthier state, that's going to affect the next 3 or 4 generations as we know it.
Yeah, and I think you're exactly right. I trust his judgment when it comes to our health and going after big pharma and just all the ties with the CDC, the NIH, everything else. But keep him away from our guns. I mean, this guy is an expert, and he is so passionate about it, and he really knows the facts inside and out. And I think that's part of what they're afraid of, is he can articulate that point well, and and he's good at explaining things in a way that the American people understand them. And I think that's their big fear with putting him in this position. And the outreach that it shows the Trump administration's willingness to reach across the aisle and work with some Democrats that are not completely insane, haven't just completely lost their minds. People like him, an old school Democrat that at the end of the day, he really does love America. He's not here to destroy us. We may disagree vehemently on some issues, but at the end of the day, he does love America. He wants to make this a better place for all of us. And, like you said, that's a trait his family shares. And unfortunately, many of them have paid for it with their lives.
Right. No, he certainly understands that. He knows exactly who he's fighting against. But I mean, I think that's just the genius of Trump's populism, right? I mean, he said, hey, we got RFK for health. That's his lane. And we're going to keep him away from all the climate. We're going to keep him away from the oil. Let's keep him away from the guns, too. But the guy's an expert in that field. He has a good heart. And ultimately, Republicans in my district, hey, we're all about it. We had this piece of legislation once that was going to deregulate raw milk. And my fellow Republican senators came to me and they said, Colton, your district ought to be really happy about this. I said, guys, my district could care less. I said, I don't think y'all understand. When it comes to raw milk, we're ungovernable. We've been drinking raw milk for generations. And none of your laws are going to do anything about it.
I got some good inside baseball for you guys on this. A personal friend of mine that I've known for quite some time, can't reveal his name yet because he's got to go through the confirmation process and all that. We're going to have him on the show. I've already talked to him about that whenever the time comes. But he is going to be the head honcho attorney under in the HHS under RFK Jr. But the inside baseball here is this guy's a staunch conservative and has the record to back it up. But when I spoke to him just yesterday, actually, and he told me that whenever he was interviewing with RFK Jr., he said, "Hey, I just want you to know up front, I'm pro-gun, I'm pro coal, pro gas, all this stuff. I'm from West Virginia, man." And RFK Jr. said, "Don't worry, the president already said I can't touch any of those things. We're not focused on any of that." So that is really good information that he was that forthcoming with. My buddy in that regard, he's like, hey, no worries. President's already said we can't touch any of that. I'm just laser focused on the health side of things. So that's really good to know that he's already, even in the interview process and everything, telling people he's going to stay in his lane. And I think that's important because the people he's hiring on need to be told to stay in their lane. So I thought I'd share that with you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, again, I think that's really important too. But it also, it does go to further illustrate a point. I mean, one of the videos that from RFK that kind of really made me, opened me up to the idea of trusting him with some issues was where he talked about how he had prayed for the ability for being put into a capacity where he had the ability to make America healthy again. They prayed for this over and over for 20 years, and that was granted to him through President Trump. So I think he understands why he was put in this role. That's what he asked God for, and I think he will stay in his lane. I think he views it as this is his mission, and this is the opportunity that he's been given to accomplish that and do something that's good for all of us. I really hope he gets into office. I mean, I think the two confirmations that we're going to have to worry about are his and Tulsi Gabbard, because the Democrats have also made it very clear they don't want Tulsi to have any role in this administration for whatever reason. They don't want her granted any power because they look at her as a defector, and I'm sure they, at some level blame her and RFK Jr. for Kamala losing the race.
Right. It just shows you they have no principles to begin with, right? It's just all petty politics to them. Ultimately, Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr., I think, are the two greatest picks for those positions, hands down. I mean, Tulsi Gabbard, she and I have met one another a couple times at some different political conferences, and she is a serious operator. I don't know if you guys have ever met her personally, but, if you're going to be the director of national intelligence and you're going to basically be the end of the bottleneck for all the intelligence agencies, and you're going to be briefing the president each and every day on what is the safety of the nation, I certainly trust Tulsi Gabbard in that position.
Yeah. And again, we want to talk about, this is somebody that does have perfect alignment with us when it comes to the intel operations and even Trump's desire to bring peace to the world. She's somebody that served in the military. I think she's still active, isn't she? She's still in the reserves. Yep. And so this is somebody that is in total alignment with us, that brings something to the table, and it is a way to extend an olive branch to other reasonable Democrats that look at their party today and realize they're completely off the rails, that they've gone insane, and something has to change, or they'll never win another election again. Guys,
Tulsi's not a warmonger. She's not out there like John Bolton or somebody out there trying to, stir the flames of war. She wants peace and has made that evident throughout her career.
And that's why they're upset. The military-industrial complex is not going to be making nearly as much money, and the shareholders are upset. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of them are also concerned about being exposure with just how coordinated they've been with their lackeys in the federal government lining their own pockets. Guys, we got to take one more break, and then we'll be back with even more.
Have a new product or idea, whether it's already in production or just a concept. Whether you're an individual, a small business, or a medium-sized company, our upcoming show on Patriot TV is here to showcase it to millions and launch it in a big way. We're looking for businesses like yours to feature your product on our new show and pitch it to over 6 million followers, eager to support like-minded businesses. Whether it's a single product or a new product line, we have a platform to skyrocket sales. With powerful Patriot TV ads, targeted direct mail, and the influence of our dynamic show hosts, your product will get the attention it deserves. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Email us now at advertise@patriot.tv to secure your spot and watch your sales take off.
I couldn't give anything a higher endorsement.
I would be remiss had I not include Cardio Miracle on my very short list of secrets.
It's the real deal. It's a real product. It's not another supplement.
I'm operating about 6 to 8 hours, and I've noticed that being on this Cardio Miracle has made a huge difference.
Since I started taking Cardio Miracle, I'm about 8 months into it, the benefits have been fantastic.
If I get hungry, then I just have a Cardio Miracle.
Not only is it safe, but it's necessary to take Cardio Miracle to stay well.
This let me sleep and feeling like more energy, more get up and go, and it's all because of what this company does.
For me as a doctor, Cardio Miracle is a staple.
Cardio Miracle to me is hope in a glass.
To try Cardio Miracle for yourself and get a special fan discount, go to the host page right now and click the link for Cardio Miracle.
Thank you for staying with us. And again, the best way to support our program and all the programs on Patriot TV is by supporting our sponsors. Again, you can go to patriot.tv, select the Insurrection, and you can find Cardio Miracle and all of our other supporters, or all the other Patriots that support our program here. And again, it's a way that you can get yourself a quality product made here in America and help keep us on the air, bringing you the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. Like this, more promises made and promises kept. Breaking: President Trump issues full and unconditional pardon to Ross Ulbricht. And again, you guys, I'm sure will remember, this is something that the libertarians asked for when Trump was invited to speak at their convention. And I listened to an interesting podcast that Thomas Massey was on last night, and he kind of pointed out something about this that I had not thought about before. But we've heard for years about all the human trafficking, drug sales, and other things that take place on Facebook Marketplace and through Instagram and other apps like that. Nobody's talking about arresting Mark Zuckerberg for creating a platform that is misused in this way. Silk Road has the reputation of being a deep web, dark web platform where anything went, and you could buy everything from drugs and prostitutes to hiring a hitman. Well, in reality, he wanted to create a platform where Bitcoin could be used to pay for things. But instead, they singled him out, and they expressly targeted him. They wanted the sentence to be expressly tough. And, I think President Trump, again, here did the right thing, and not just because he kept his promise to the libertarians, but because this is the right thing to do for justice and for Ross himself, for Ross Ulbricht.
No, I was so excited to read that news this morning. I even made a little video in support of Ross probably 6 or 7 months ago. And people were asking me, as a loyal Trumpist, do you think Trump will actually do this? And I was like, Trump said he was going to do it. I believe he's going to do it. And, here we are, day 2. He got the deal done. You're exactly right. Thomas Massey's exactly right. All those crazy things that they were trying to put on Ross happens on Facebook each and every day. Okay, so there's no difference there. Once again, it's another free speech impediment that we've had in this previous administration, in Ross's case, in the Barack Obama administration. So, these Democrats do not support the First Amendment. It couldn't be more clear.
Well, I'm tickled to death for him as well to receive that pardon. Promises made, promises kept. I hope that we start seeing, I don't know a whole lot about crypto, but I hope we see some inactive wallets all of a sudden get reactivated for this guy. I know that there's some rumors about that. I wanted to give us a couple shout outs. So we got FG and we've got Buck Wild in the Getter chat. And then we've got, where's it at? It's Andy something here. Andy says that I'm a Georgian and I'm appalled at your treatment and arrest, and I want John removed. So you got
Let's go, Andy.
Yeah, there you go.
I appreciate that very much. And hey, guys, before I go too, I want to remind all of your listeners in Georgia, be sure you contact your state representative and have them ask John Burns for his resignation letter. Okay, that needs to be done ASAP. Go to your local GOP party and make sure that they're going to push out that resolution asking for his resignation and disconnecting themselves from such a rogue tyrant, because John Burns is not a Republican.
Well said. And actually, I want to kind of go on the tail of what you said right there. And to our audience, you're probably going to get sick of hearing me say this, but we have to stay engaged. We have now ascended into power, but we cannot go back to sleep. We want to conquer this giant and get this Leviathan out of the federal and state level that's been co-opting our political parties for their gain. We want to get rid of the uniparty. That means we need to get involved. That means staying involved at your local level. It can't all be top down. So if that means going to your, even if it's just going to the meetings, your local GOP meetings, your county boards, whatever, and putting pressure on people, that's one step. If you can, run for office, because we need more America First, real conservatives leading our nation from the bottom up and from the top down. And the only way we're going to get that is with your involvement.
Absolutely.
Well, let's grab one more story here. We're almost out of time, but let's try to sneak in at least one more here. Soros-backed District Attorney Larry Krasner exploring state charges against January 6ers pardoned by Trump. And again, this is just absolutely disgusting. And Derrick, I want to turn to you first on this and get your reaction.
I'll tell you right now, and I thought about this a lot yesterday, and I'm still smiling just thinking about it. I don't know. I mean, obviously, the pardon is more life-changing than anything I could ever imagine, getting that presidential pardon from President Trump. And as Colton said earlier, promises made, promises kept. But in terms of the after getting the pardon and, now being free and all that, I don't know what I'm enjoying more, my newfound freedom or the fact that these liberals are so upset over my newfound freedom. I really am struggling here with which is more fun right now for me personally. I'm loving the meltdowns from all these people on the left, and for these just crazy people like this. I don't even know what they're thinking right now. It just shows you that they don't care anything about the law or the Constitution. They only care about getting after President Trump, and now as well as Trump supporters and conservatives in general. But I'm loving it, man. I'm having a good time trolling these people on X, and I'm just having a blast right now at their meltdowns over little old me getting a pardon and getting my life back.
Yeah. Well, and I think you really hit on the other major thing right now is just watching them squirm and scream right now. It's just been it's been amazing. But also, again, it shows us who they really are. They will not hesitate to weaponize the justice system against even American citizens, given the opportunity, or they think it's politically beneficial to them. But you turn that around, you talk about charging, if we were to talk about a state's attorney general charging Hunter Biden with something right now, they'd be absolutely apoplectic. It'd be the only thing you'd hear about. I mean, I would literally think we'd have to put The View on suicide watch if that would happen. That we'd have to send grief counselors over there and make sure they were okay. If a state attorney general found their testicles and started pursuing some of these clear criminal violations at the state level, especially for somebody that, Biden had the audacity to pardon. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I certainly know Georgia's attorney general will not be finding those anytime soon. But unfortunately, somebody like Fani Willis, who's still district attorney in Fulton County, she's crazy enough to bring up the J6 Georgians and try to charge them all over again. So I would not be surprised in the least bit if that was a headline coming out of Atlanta in the next week, unfortunately.
Yeah, and the thing that people need to understand is like they don't have to actually have a black and white law that they will twist and manipulate and try to find and take out of context any state statute they can in order to try to get their pound of flesh. Nothing would surprise me with these people. That's also why, I've been asked multiple times, hey, have you went and got your guns yet? And I was like, no, I haven't. So just really quick, I spoke to my probation officer. I called them yesterday morning and said, hey, I'm just letting you know that you guys are, your services are no longer needed. You guys are fired. We had a good chuckle with that. But I asked, in all seriousness, what the process is moving forward. And they said they never dealt with this before, that there'll be a court order that'll come through. And at that point, they'll close out my file. But as far as they're concerned, I'm good. I'm free. I don't have to ask for permission to travel. I don't have to check in at the beginning of February. None of those things, regardless. But what I'm fearful of in terms of going and go ahead and getting my guns right now, I'm waiting until all the ink is dry, the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, everything's in the system. The reason being is, God forbid the left wins in 2028. It would not surprise me if they didn't come back and be like, well, you were pardoned, but it hadn't officially cleared the system yet. So now we're going to charge you for being a felon in possession of a weapon 4 years ago. Like that's really my fear right now. So I've waited this long. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. And that just kind of drives home the point of how crazy these people really are. They're just out to get conservatives right now.
Yeah, viewers, pay attention to what he just said. I mean, hear the chilling effect that is created when authoritarians take power. I mean, these people are domestic threats to our Constitution. When you have patriots who are literally, concerned about what's coming in the next 4 years if they gain power again. I mean, that is blatant tyranny.
Yes. Well, and you're exactly right. And we know that was the purpose from the beginning, is to prevent anybody that opposed the Uniparty from standing up for themselves, whether that was at a state march or heading to Washington, D.C. or anything else. They wanted to create this climate of fear that you would be expressly targeted. The message was also sent that their operatives would not be targeted, that the Summer of Love protesters, the George Floyd rioters, unless they did something, really serious, like say try to set the police on fire or, literally burn down a federal building, then maybe they'd consider giving them some kind of a charge or some probation. And you guys dealt with this in Georgia, on multiple occasions, not just the George Floyd riots, but also that other merry band of lunatics that was trying to prevent building, a police training center, I think, a little outside of Atlanta or in Atlanta.
Yeah, don't forget about the Wendy's burning down. They didn't want to charge the guy who burnt the Wendy's down.
Yeah,
and didn't they get
exact opposite of what any common sense would suggest you do.
Mm-hmm.
Colton, did that person, from what I remember, they didn't serve any prison time or anything, did they? Even after they were being charged?
Yeah, I'll have to look back into that. I do remember, just the fact that he wasn't going to be charged, because ultimately, I guess if your civil rights, if you're going to point a taser at a police officer or a gun at a police officer, you've got a right to burn down. Like, none of it makes sense. Burn down a Wendy's. I'll have to look back into that. I don't know how it actually turned out.
Yeah, well, the whole thing is crazy, though. That's what scared. That's why I hope people understand that. Like, I'm proud, honestly. I can say this now freely. It's awesome. I'm proud to be a part of January 6th. I'm proud that conservatives, instead of burning down businesses and attacking, random people in the street, that we took our grievances, we took our concerns to the actual swamp and addressed it there in person. That scared them. That's one of the reasons they've acted the way that they have, is they have never, historically, conservatives were too busy raising families, working jobs, building businesses to go out and actually protest on a random Tuesday night on all hours of the night, getting paid by George Soros to do that. We don't do those things. And so they'd never seen this side of us. And I think what really scared them is that they know at the end of the day that we were peaceful, that we showed up unarmed, that we showed up there just to redress our grievances. And I think that after that happened, they started thinking, what would ever happen if all these people did show up armed? And I think it scared the crap out of them. And that's why they really, one of the many reasons as the way they handled this and treated this the way that they did. But it just shows the distinct differences in how conservatives and liberals actually protest. We took it to the people who actually did this to us, and they want to go down and burn their neighbor's house down.
Right. Talk about peaceful too. We got to get the pro-lifers pardoned as well. The people who were just peacefully protesting outside of abortion clinics who the DOJ of Biden targeted. They need freedom as well.
100%.
And I think Bevelyn Williams, I think she was already issued a pardon. I know some of the other ones are on the desk. They're still slated. Trying to see if he's issued any of the others yet. Or if there are any other quick breaking news here. I did see we are now officially out of the Paris Climate Accords. The State Department has now removed us, or Marco Rubio has, after Trump issued the executive order. But yeah, we are just about out of time. So Colton, one more time, where can our audience find you, and any pearls of wisdom you'd like to leave them with?
You can always find me at Real Colton Moore on X. That's the best place to do it. And then, word of wisdom. We pull out of the Paris Climate Accords and it snows on Tallahassee. Pay attention, folks.
Yeah, you got that right. In addition to everything else, Trump's already solved global warming. They don't need to complain about that anymore. And he did it while withdrawing us from the Paris Climate Accords and literally saving us trillions of dollars that would have gone to China, India, and other countries that pollute the globe. But guys, thank you again for tuning in and staying with us. Please stay tuned here at Patriot TV. We've got the Hannah Faulkner Show coming up next. And if you're watching on X American News, Paul Harrell will be up after us there. But thank you again, guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. Help us to grow so we can bring more people the news the mainstream media doesn't want you to hear. And we'll be back tomorrow with even more.